RPG Book Club, the podcast where we play a little bit of a video game and talk about how it makes us feel. I am Sam Allman.
I'm David Bernard Houck.
I'm Maddie Grace Levin.
And I'm Trish.
And today we'll be playing the second chunk of Persona 2 Innocent Sin, which covers up until you leave Cuss High for that dungeon. If you were wondering last week how many dungeons is 2 dungeons, so we played through 2 dungeons to get to where we are this week. So if you did not play enough, you can pause the podcast, go get that far, and then come back. But before we do any of that, how was everybody's week?
I just watched Iron Man 2008.
Good
How
movie.
was that?
It's a good movie.
It holds up? That's good to hear.
The transphobic joke doesn't hold up, and
Rip.
There's a transphobic joke?
some of the other 2008 stuff doesn't hold up particularly well. In like the second minute of the film, I found this very funny. Someone asked Tony Stark if they can get a picture with him, and he pulls out a little silver digital camera and hands it to a guy. And then Tony says, "This better not end up on your MySpace page." And I'm like, oh my God.
The past is truly an unknown country.
It is. It was weird. Tony Stark had sex in the movie. I forgot that sex exists in the Marvel Cinematic
They're
Universe.
allowed to have sex in Marvel movies?
Weird.
It's weird. Someone smokes a cigar. I don't know if that happens in later Marvel movies, but it feels not very Disney.
Yeah,
anyway,
that's a Paramount movie right there.
it is. The Paramount logo popped up while I was watching it on Disney Plus, and I was like, huh.
Nice.
Anyway, that's about it from me.
What about you, Maddie Grace?
Mostly good. I continue to watch a lot of Columbo, and it continues to be the best show in the world. Except one issue, which is that Columbo smokes cigars, and I'm like, fuck. What if I smoke cigars?
No.
Don't do
which
it,
I
Maddie
probably
Grace.
shouldn't, but I would probably look really cool. I bet if I did. That's my personal opinion on me.
But would you look
and
as
cigars.
cool as Columbo?
Probably not.
Well, no, but that's an unrelated question. I'm working on it. I have 2 exciting things about my job, which is nice. Today, if you happen to look at my Twitter in the last hour, you know, I got my first ever grievance checks, which is fun. I got payout for some grievances that I filed, and I got $800.
Nice.
Oh.
Which is pretty cool. Although it was supposed to be more like 1,000. I did the math, and I think I got. Yeah, I think that some of the grievances I filed, maybe the union was trying to get my grievance pay in like the panels, and they were debating it, and maybe some of them were challenged, and they weren't able to get they weren't able to win those maybe. In which case, you can't win them all. Although, given that all my grievances are like pretty much the exact same thing because the supervisors just kept doing the same shit, it's weird that about 25% of them wouldn't have gone through. So I might call my steward tomorrow or something. But still, very cool that I got $800, deservedly because of the bullshit. And also, frankly, kind of needed. Second cool thing is, this isn't cool at all. This is bad. I won't go all the way into it, but I had some more jerk around regarding becoming a driver, and basically, long story short, turns out that I could have become a driver like 2 or even 3 weeks ago, but they had my number wrong.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Now, here's the thing. I went on my company website. I went on to the company internal website and checked out my profile. My number is listed on there correctly. And it also has my email. So, first of all, I don't know how and it wasn't like some other number. It was like my number with 2 minor errors. And if I'm being very generous, you could say that maybe I wrote my own number down at some point on a piece of paper, and I wrote it down very sloppily because I do have sloppy handwriting. But whenever it's important stuff like that, I do write carefully. But the substitutions were like a 7 for a 6, and then like a 7 for a 2.
You're giving out too many numbers from your phone number.
Which is like really weird. Yeah, there's 2 7s in it. Which is really weird. I could maybe see me being a bad enough handwriting person to write a 7 that looks like a 2, but a 7 that looks like a 6? No. I'm thinking it must have been like they put it into the computer wrong or something, like they're typing it in and they hit 7 instead of they hit 6 instead of 7 or something. Anyway, what's extra annoying is like they could have gotten my number. They could have. Whenever other bosses or managers need to contact me, they can acquire my number their own way. Also, the only reason I knew about this was because a different guy, not the guy who was actually in charge of calling me, a different guy heard that they were having trouble contacting me and sent me an email just to check in. So very frustrating. Y'all know I've been very impatient for this. Not only do I want to do it for my own personal life satisfaction, but also it's been causing big problems like scheduling, right? Like every week are like, what time can we meet? And I'm like, I don't know when my schedule is going to radically change, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Which means like I can't plan ahead with like friends, you know, if there's something happening in a month, they're like, can you be there? I'm like, I don't know if I can be there. And anyway, I got that all sorted out. And when I talked to them yesterday, not only were they acting like it was somehow my fault that this was happening, the person was being very rude to me. Not the person who sent me the email, that guy's a sweetheart, but the people who were actually trying to call me. But also, I was like, so maybe you give me a call tomorrow? And because they were trying to get someone to start on Monday. And they were like, no, we're going to give you a call next time we need somebody.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I was very upset. It was a total emotional roller coaster. I was upset. I was furious. I was sad. Anyway, after having a normal one for a bit, I went on with my job. And the good thing about my job, because I had a double shift last night, my job continues to be very healing. Doesn't matter what emotions I'm going through. After an hour of putting boxes in the truck and working hard, really hard this time around, turns out, and listening to either some nice music from Spotify or like the soundtrack to some game on YouTube, or like the History of Byzantium podcast, after an hour, I feel great. So that's always nice. One of the best things about the job is that I always feel great after an hour of it.
My job...
Anyway, huh?
Oh, I was going to say my job... every hour of it, I feel worse and worse until the end when I'm an insane person.
Yeah. No, that's the main reason why I switched from a job that involved talking to customers to a job that involves physical labor. The only talking to customers I'm going to do once I'm a driver is, you know, saying, I need your signature. And, you know, people generally are very positive about receiving packages. So usually that's a very positive, uplifting experience because everyone thinks you're awesome because you brought them their package and they're happy.
And people love packages.
People love packages. No one's mad at the person bringing you your treats that you bought off the internet. Unless they're like super duper late, but hey, that's not my fault. So anyway, yeah, I'm going to talk to the union about it, see if anything can be done. I don't know if there's any actual violation here, but it seems pretty ridiculous. And a lot of the people I've told about it were like, I think you should definitely talk to your union about this. So although I am glad, because when I first found out about the fact that they had my number wrong, I did think, oh, well, as soon as I fix this issue, then maybe I'll actually start on Monday. I wanted to tell people like you, like, guess what? But now I'm glad I didn't, because I wouldn't have wanted to pass my getting jerked around onto y'all and jerk y'all around even more, right? Yeah. That would have been really annoying if I'd been like, guess what, everyone? My schedule changed next week. Never mind. So yeah, that's my week. Other than that, I had an excellent week filled with all kinds of lovely stuff. All that Columbo caused me to want to watch Knives Out again. So me and my partner watched Knives Out. It was my third time and his first. And what a good movie.
It's a good movie.
It's a real good movie.
Yep. Although I got to say, my girlfriend has this thing that he does where he does like voices. Like he does he really loves to do all kinds of voices, kind of like Bernard. And he's good at it, but sometimes it drives me insane. I I should have known that after a week of having to deal with constant Columbo voice, that watching Knives Out was the worst thing I could have done. Because now I've added another voice to the repertoire, which is...
Is it just constant Benoit Blanc?
Yeah, which is just Benoit
And
Blanc.
what a voice it
Fucking
is.
voice. Which is... No, it's I love my girlfriend very much, but part of having any romantic relationship is being driven a little bit insane constantly.
Of course.
Anyway, that's me.
Awesome. What about you, Trish? How's your week?
Mixed bag. I have some complex life stuff that hasn't completely fallen out yet, and I'm tired of talking about it, so I'll just
Would you say it might be an
No, don't do it.
Okay.
So,
It's a really long-running in-joke. Don't even worry about it.
Yeah, Eli kept having something that was bad, and we're like, well, it imploded, so once something implodes, it can't get worse, and then it got worse progressively over the next 16 weeks. So, we just jinxed it where it's going to be worse next week. I'm sorry.
Thank you for that. I've been showing one of my girlfriends. We've been going through Young Justice together, which has been fun because that's one of those kind of things where I love this thing and I know no one else who likes it, and she's actually enjoying it, which I'm like, yes, let me drag you into the depths.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't think I actually brought this up last time. It's the closest thing I do that's similar-ish to this show is I have a blog where I cover the cases of the Ace Attorney series, and I do that with someone else who has guested on this show before, Sam, a.k.a. the Game Professor.
What? That's awesome.
Yes, and we were taking a big break after we finished the original trilogy. We were going to do something special between that and the next thing. We finally finished that. That's going up next week. I've got that edited and done. And now we're getting ready to start Apollo Justice, which we're both excited for because it's our favorite game in the series. And I'm just very excited to dig into that. And just to spend more time talking about stuff with the guy because he's one of my best friends in the world.
He's a great dude.
That dovetails beautifully into the fact that I beat the Ace Attorney trilogy this morning.
Ooh, okay.
God, the third game's so good, right?
It's so freaking good.
The third game is so good, and I have complex feelings about it because there are some aspects, especially to the main prosecutor of the game, that are difficult to talk about, especially the longer time goes on. And that I feel like I'm in the extreme minority, and I don't feel like the last case is the best thing ever. But it does have a lot of really interesting, cool aspects to it.
Yeah, it was really good. So I got to, because Ace Attorney has been my nighttime game since we covered the first game on the podcast. I played it along as a listener, which is weird because I wasn't on that season. But I played along with the podcast back in the day, and then made my way through the second and third games 25 text box a night before I fell out. But then I got to case 4 of this game, and then I just started playing Ace Attorney all day, every day, can't stop, won't stop, until I got to the end, because it's really good, and I really, 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 really like it. And now that I know that y'all are starting Apollo Justice, now I don't know if I want to, because I was going to take a break and not dive right in, but now if y'all are diving right in, then it's I can follow along, and now I'm conflicted. Now I don't know what I'll do when I go to bed tonight. I was thinking try and hobble my way through more Dragon Quest XI 3DS, but I don't know.
I should clarify, A, it's a written blog series that the two of us do, not an audio series, and B, we won't be releasing anything soon about Apollo Justice, sadly, because we like to get a backlog done enough that we can start releasing it weekly and not have to worry about big gaps. We just don't want. We try to avoid hiatuses within the games themselves. Between games is fine, but not. It was also funny because we use the little profile icons in the game. We use those to represent which one of us is talking. Sam's Edgeworth, I was using Phoenix for a long time, and then there was a year where we didn't do it, and all of a sudden I was like, wow, Phoenix doesn't really feel appropriate anymore. So we just the ones coming out next week is we covered the movie, and I used April May for that because, I mean, listen, I can flaunt a little.
Yeah, I when I started getting like super into the end of it, I had always not told my wife about it or just talked about it in broad terms because her number one genre is visual novels. She eats them up like candy. Like, she just goes on itch.io and just downloads every Ren'Py project on there and just tears through them. And so I'm like, it's perfect for you, but I want you to consume this so like right now, and your to be watched anime list is a lot shorter than your to be played visual novel list. So even though it's a subpar way to do it, she'll get through it faster. So I downloaded very legally from crunchyroll.com all of the anime and also the stage play, so I can set it up in a playlist on Plex to put the stage play in for case 5 of the first game, so that she has the whole experience and she can just love it as much as I do, hopefully. But yeah. The other thing is somehow Nintendo is releasing Xenoblade Chronicles 3 2 fucking months early, which is bonkers. Yeah.
Did you not hear about this? It's now coming out in July instead of September.
That's transphobic.
Yeah, it's Sam-phobic because that's also the date that Digimon Survive is finally coming out. So my two most anticipated Switch RPGs are coming out on the exact same day.
It comes out a week after Live Alive. So yeah, we're going to have to play Live Alive real fast.
God. Well, a few more small things while we're talking about just the news. Sonic Origins or whatever. Woo!
Looks dope.
What?
So they're doing all.
Please explain this to me.
They announced the new Sonic collection, and so I'll start with the bad news. The bad news is they're doing some bullshit where you have to like buy extra special edition DLCs to get like very basic modes, which is dumb, but also I don't.
It's $5. It's a lot more intimidating
being the way it is at this point. It's just like whatever. I got more important things to be upset about in my life. Whatever. Who fucking cares? But yeah, it's so those of y'all who might not be as on the up and up might know that, or might not know that many years ago, like 10, 15 years ago at this point maybe, guy whose real name I forget, but who also goes by Taxman on the internet, and also his friend who I forget their real or internet names, and my apologies to that person because they're also great. They started doing modern version, or they started putting old Sonic games on modern consoles, starting with Sonic CD for the Xbox Live Arcade. And the thing is, they didn't emulate them, they reprogrammed, they recreated the games. So they had all the same graphics and music and level design, but actually coded in modern programming languages, which is a really nice thing to do for an old game, and it's a lot of fucking work, right? And they didn't. And the cool thing is, if you recreate a game with modern programming languages, it's really easy to like add new content, right? Make it widescreen, all that stuff, fix bugs. So Taxman's Sonic CD for the XBLA is a goddamn masterpiece. And then later they ended up doing Sonic 1 and Sonic 2, and they all also are on like your if you like get Sonic on mobile phone, like that's the versions that you're playing. And that relationship of this like literal just indie guy who got hired by Sega to do this turned into making Sonic Mania.
Yeah.
That's what they did after that. So anyway, the problem is they never did Sonic 3 and Knuckles. And as far as I can tell, I believe that there's some kind of complicated copyright issue because Sonic 3 and Knuckles is often absent from collections, like going way back, like, oh, here's some, for PS2, something with like 30 Sega Genesis games. Sonic 3 and Knuckles isn't there for some reason.
It's the Michael Jackson's estate says no because he ghost wrote the music for it.
Is that actually true, or is that just a myth and there's some other reason?
That I believe that's actually true.
Sam is saying it, so I don't believe it.
Well, whatever.
Yeah, that's how it
Who
works.
cares if it's true or not? There's some problem, right? So what's really cool is that they're finally doing it. I don't know what the problem is, but they resolved the problem because they're doing a modern version of Sonic 3 and Knuckles. And the trailer doesn't say this, but someone on Twitter who seemed like they knew what they were talking about confirmed that Taxman and Co. are the ones who are taking the lead on it. With the back, presumably with a team backed by Sega. So now you can finally have the good versions of the whole series, not just all of them, except for one. Yeah, and people try to say like, oh, is this really worth $34? These games all cost like $1 on iPhone. Go fuck yourself, man. All these games cost like $50 when they first came out in the 90s. I don't know. They're all masterpieces, and they're all really well done, and I can't wait for it to come out personally.
Yeah, it looks great, and the trailer has new animations.
Oh yeah, they're actually not part of the trailer. They're actually part of the game. Like the game, apparently, like they added like animated cutscenes to the games, and they look incredible,
beautiful.
Yeah, the whole thing looks like it fucking rules. So big news there.
Apparently, HuffPost back in 2016 had an expose that had found definitive proof that Michael Jackson did work on Sonic 3.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, if the HuffPost is wrong, it's them. But I knew that it was a rumor for like 23 years, but it recently became a not rumor anymore. And
nice.
HuffPost is the one that broke it. So if you have a problem,
it definitely sounds like it, but
yeah.
I am going to take it up with HuffPost.
Okay, thank you.
I'm going to write them a letter. Say, I don't believe
probably
you.
A lot of things to get up with HuffPost about at this point.
You know what I'm going to take it up with? I'm going to take it up with the student council president of Cuss High and say, you need to stop doing all the things that you are doing. So let's talk about or let's listen to some music, and then we'll talk about the plot this week. Take it away.
So the gang heads to Peace Diner, but Cozy isn't there. They assume she would be there because there's food there and she's fat, and fat people only think about food. And these people have cell phones, so if they'd gotten her number, they could have just called her. But anyway, someone on Cozy's newspaper staff shows up. Her name is Chikarine. She mentions Cozy went to the Club Zodiac to find the guys from Cuss High who spread the rumor that their emblem was cursed. Aikichi says his guys wouldn't stoop that low, and the gang decides to go to Zodiac and find out the truth. The gang heads to Zodiac, and they run into a girl named Noriko trying to convince someone named Anna to stop doing drugs or something. I sort of missed the text box. I wasn't clear on what was going on, but it seemed to me like Anna was doing drugs. The UI says, Anna Yoshizaka, a dropout from Seven Sisters High, currently dissolute, but was star of the track team before her accident.
There is some stuff about Anna in the first section we played. There's some accident. She's quit track club, and there's a character who is either just her very good friend or her sister who's been like trying to get her to rejoin.
Yeah, this girl Noriko who's talking to her in this scene, she keeps calling her sister, but I wasn't sure if the way it was written, I wasn't sure if she was actually her sister or if this was a
affectation,
weird way of talking that makes more sense in Japanese. But yeah. Anyway, Noriko leaves, and Yukino tries to get through to Anna, but Anna brushes her off and leaves. Some Cuss High students walk up and antagonize the gang. Aikichi tells them to back off, but they say they have a new, stronger leader named Hiroki Sugimoto. Aikichi is like, fucking Sugimoto is your leader? Aikichi gets aggro and grabs one of the students, who says it was just a rumor going around that the new leader is stronger than the old boss. Maya deduces this might be the result of a rumor. She also speculates that Sugimoto might be in league with Joker. The student says Sugimoto's in the secret lounge further in. Lisa asks if Cozy was here. The student says he doesn't know a Cozy, but someone named Hanakoji went to see Sugimoto. Aikichi freaks out and runs off on his own. The gang heads after him, but a bouncer tells them they can't enter the secret lounge without masks. In a staff room, a masked man says to Totino's, "I take it this is your first gathering? The rumor is that's true for everyone who was summoned today. You got a card from the lady, right? If you don't have a mask, you won't be able to get into the secret lounge." The gang finds some masks and heads to the secret lounge.
I'm glad they're being COVID safe.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, the NPC that Bernard just read the text box for, he says there are masks in that box right over there, but my stupid ADHD brain latched onto the get a card from the lady, which is one of the arcanas that personas are in. So I thought, oh, I have to find a lady persona and get a card from them from like talking to them and getting them all the way eager so that they give me some lady cards. And I wasted a lot of time because the shit was just in a box right next to them.
That is incredible. That is incredible.
Yes.
Yeah, I've had moments like that, and that realization when you discover, oh, I should have read that more clearly, is rough. As you stare at all the sunk time you wasted.
Yep.
Anyway, as we head to the secret lounge, we see some Cuss High students beating the crap out of Aikichi while Sugimoto holds Cozy hostage. He threatens her knife harm should Aikichi use his death spirit. Aikichi's like, "I don't care about Cozy, but I won't let anything happen to Miyabi Hanakoji." Sugimoto is like, "My brother in Christ, this is Miyabi Hanakoji." Aikichi is shocked and asks why she never said anything. She says she was too embarrassed, and also maybe you've been making horrible jokes at her expense this whole time?
Yeah, I'm just going to slip in. Last episode, we were all very positive on Aikichi. Within the first half hour of this segment, my opinion nosedived on him from just how many times he called her fatty. Just like...
Yeah,
fuck you.
Like not even like to her face, but like he was talking like past her to other people. It's like, "Where's Koji? All I see is this fatty over here." Like very, very rude to her.
Mm-hmm.
I think I can have a hot take. Teenagers suck.
It's true. It is very true. Teenagers do in fact suck.
Yes. Aikichi threatens Sugimoto and anyone who laughs at Hanakoji, and I'm like, buddy. Sugimoto slashes Hanakoji's face, and his goons start beating the crap out of Aikichi again. Lisa wants to rush in and save him, but Yukino says he needs to do this himself. Totino's chooses to wait and see what happens. What did Ichigo and Tatsuya do?
I also waited to see what happens.
I did too, but I'm using a guide. I'll tell you that from what I understand, if you do intervene, you get a fairly boring boss fight you get nothing out of, apparently.
Cool.
That's cool.
I actually am the one who did do that, and that is what happens. The boss fight, yeah, it's boring. It takes a while. But I'm glad at least one of us did the stupid thing.
Yeah.
Of course it was me.
I should also point out, unlike last time, there is no bonus boss for this particular dungeon because it's so short. There is a rumor you can do where someone mentions a rumor that the second floor is a maze, which, like, I mean, metaphorically it kind of is, because it is kind of hard to figure out where everything is in big, weird corridors. But you can go spread that rumor, and it literally turns it into a maze, and there's some extra treasure chests inside. I didn't do that because I literally could not figure out how. I must have done something wrong that locked me out of it.
Dang.
But I don't feel bad about that because it doesn't seem like I would have gotten much out of it.
I did that one too. It was fun because last week Trish informed us all that leaving dungeons and doing rumors is like a thing we should be watching out for. So I was attuned to that concept this time around, right? So I was like, oh boy, I'm going to do the thing. I thought it was fun. The maze wasn't super complicated, but it was still like, it did require some brain, which is cool because so far the dungeons haven't required brain because like the dungeon design of the previous one was like, it's a school. You know how a school is designed. So having an honest to goodness maze type dungeon was cool. The rewards, there were some chests and stuff, and I don't remember 100%, but I remember not being disappointed by the rewards. Like one of them, there was some equipment that I equipped because it was good. But I think there are also some consumables, but nothing like outrageously incredible. But I was like, ooh, cool, look at that, nice. So pretty neat. So I'm definitely gonna keep trying to do these little extra things since it seems like at least so far, every dungeon seems to have some little special thing like that.
Yeah. There's also something cool before coming into this dungeon in terms of learning a little bit more about how those rumor systems work with because you have access to a new area. Or it's not really a new area, it's the first area. But still, you can hear rumors about another weapon store and another armor store, but there's multiple sources for the rumors. And the different sources for the rumors will... there's like an old guy in a park. There's a person in the sushi shop, I believe, in the first area. And then the third area has the friend of Cozy. And all of their rumors are slightly different in terms of the prices and the quality of items. And because of that, which one you choose to spread is what your store will be like.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. I played around with that as well.
I considered leaving the dungeon to spread the rumor that the maze had good stuff in it, but then I was like, what, is the game going to be hard if I don't do that?
That's a good point. This game is exceptionally easy.
Aikichi says, do your worst. Just let Hanakoji go. Turns out Sugimoto is pissed at Aikichi for pantsing him in middle school and has been plotting revenge ever since. He slices Aikichi good and says he is stronger than the boss. Aikichi says he quits being the boss. He decks Sugimoto. He says, the leader might be stronger than the boss, but there's no way Hiroki Sugimoto is ever stronger than Aikichi Mishina. The goons run off, and Sugimoto cries and whines and pisses his pants and begs for mercy. Yes?
I'm glad that the Joker's wish granting is like genie level, where it's like no only the leader is stronger than the boss, so the moment he says he's not the boss anymore, he's gonna kick your ass and it's going to work now.
Have y'all seen RoboCop?
Yes, it's a wonderful film.
It is. This reminded me of the scene right at the very end that I don't want to spoil, but it reminded me of the scene right at the very end.
I absolutely know what you mean.
Okay.
It's a great scene too.
God, I love that movie. I want to watch it again. It's so much
hard to convince people to watch it because they just hear RoboCop and they're like, "Oh, that sounds exceptionally stupid." And it's like,
I know.
No, Paul Verhoeven.
It's so good.
Yeah, I gotta say, it's not 100% people's fault. I mean, don't get me wrong. In general, your average Joe, the culture, people have this really annoying thing of like, I mean, you know, of like discounting like genre media basically and thinking it's stupid. Which, funny enough, nowadays everything is genre media and it is stupid, but whatever. So there is that kind of like bias. But there's also, and this is why I'll give the general movie-going public a little bit of grace here. In the 80s and 70s, and mostly 80s though, there were a bunch of movies that came out, were legitimately great works of art, and then they went on to make 6 sequels until it was like the dumbest, campiest shit imaginable, right?
That's true.
They did it with RoboCop. They did it with Rocky. They did it with other examples that I can't think of.
First Blood, Jaws,
Die Hard. And not all of those, for the record. Not in some of for some of those examples, the sequels are some of them are really good actually, but it definitely is like I don't want to fucking pick apart which of the fucking Rocky sequels are good and which ones are bad, or which of the fucking Die Hard sequels are good, which ones are bad, right? It's like, nah, it's like, yeah, nah. If you think about, if you look at like RoboCop 3 or whatever, and that might influence the popular consensus of these things, right? It's like, especially if it's like, these are all the kind of movies that like one's dad would like. So it's like, oh yeah, my dad loves those fucking RoboCop movies, you know, about the cheesy movies about the robot cop. And it's like, okay, but the first one is
you have a good point.
Art. So the point is, what I'm saying is, yes, people are dumb, but in this particular case, I think that the people creating the art shot themselves a bit in the foot there.
That's
not
fair.
Verhoeven, of course, but the studio and the rights holders for RoboCop.
I mean,
and, the other
they gave RoboCop 2, if I remember correctly, was written by Frank Miller, which, oof. That's, I mean, I see what that...
seen RoboCop 2 or 3 or whatever, but I have not the other movies that I was just mentioning.
I haven't, but I have read things written by Frank Miller, and I don't ever want to watch anything involved with him ever again.
Anyway, that's going to do it. Thank you for tuning in to the RoboCop Hour. I've been David Bernard Howe.
Movie and deserves a digression.
Is RoboCop going to be our movie night?
I mean, we now have an excuse to, so maybe.
Maybe.
That'd be good.
Now, I do want to say I did find an OVA of from Shin Megami Tensei that is on YouTube, and I searched for it on YouTube, and so I searched Shin Megami Tensei Tokyo Revelation, and the results are 2 uploads of Shin Megami Tensei Tokyo Revelation, and the third video is entitled something like Shin Megami Tensei Tokyo Revelation is absolutely insane. So I think that is pretty encouraging.
That's true.
I would like to remedy something before I release this with slander out there. Frank Miller did not write RoboCop 2. He wrote a draft that was never used.
Okay.
Okay. So,
back to this encounter between 2 teenagers beating the shit out of each other.
Yes. Aikichi says they're even and gives a monologue about how he's been a bad dude himself and he's gonna be a better dude now. He tries to ask Hanakoji if she's okay, but she runs away. Yukino gets down to business and asks Sugimoto why he spread the emblem curse rumor. He says, "The student council president asked me to. He said he'd make me leader with Master Joker's powers if I ruined Sevens' reputation." Aikichi says, "That Yasuo. I turned him down, so he went with the next name on his list." Maya says, "The people here said something about a gathering going on today. What did they mean by that?" "There's an organization you have to join once Master Joker grants your ideal. I heard the gathering was an initiation ceremony for it. Which reminds me, I also heard that one of their executives, Lady Scorpio, was going to be at the gathering." The gang lets Sugimoto go and decides to head after the student council president at Cuss High. When they arrive, they find the school in a bustle setting up for their school festival. The gang heads up to the student council room. Yasuo isn't there, but some student council members ask Aikichi to end Yasuo's reign of terror. One says, "The president is an amoral demon who doesn't even fear God. He controls his hoods from the shadows and has the school under his thumb." So, normal.
Yeah. This dungeon in particular really makes me think that we talked about it last week, that demons exist and are everywhere. They just only attack Persona users, because like last week there was a crisis going on, but this week there is no crisis. There is one later when you get into the gym, but when you show up, everyone's just getting ready for the school, and there are demons roaming the halls that you get into random battles with.
Yeah, I think in the crisis in the first dungeon wasn't necessarily just the demons who were attacking you. It was because something was happening to people's faces? Question mark?
Yeah, but like the school was like in chaos already, so it's like, okay, and then there are demons too. But yeah, here it's like, no, there's nothing going on.
Yeah.
People are just so busy setting up for the festival, they don't notice the demons. As the gang investigates the school, they find out a masquerade is being planned. Sounds bad. They also hear that Yasuo is in the basement. The gang heads down and hears Yasuo's voice coming from beyond the door in an old bomb shelter. Aikichi and Lisa rush in. The others follow, and the door slams behind them. Inside, they find that Yasuo's voice was coming from a walkie-talkie. He says that rumor has it, once you're in the shelter, you can never find your way out. He says, I'm making this school an ideal educational facility, worthy of a genius like myself. But first, the vermin must be exterminated. Sugimoto-kun was only a stalking horse. What the hell does stalking horse mean?
I don't know. I'm about to Google it.
That is actually a phrase I've heard before. I actually believe it is a relatively common phrase. So I don't really blame the writers here, but I do blame us for being dumb.
A false pretext concealing someone's real intentions.
There we go.
You have used me simply as a stalking horse for some of your more outrageous views.
Or more literally, a screen traditionally made in the shape of a horse behind which a hunter can stay concealed while stalking prey.
Ah.
I see. Sugimoto-kun was only a stalking horse. I set the stage by spreading a rumor that the leader was stronger than the boss. I hadn't considered that you'd use it to your advantage, hence my plan to play the vermin against each other misfired. When Aikichi demands he let them go, he says, no. But if the ladies give me a write-up in their periodical and Lisa-san becomes my girlfriend, I'll make an exception for the females. The girls say no.
I was just going to say, that great way to red flag a character as just being a completely awful person. It's like, yes, he will refer to them as the females.
Yes.
Aikichi gets mad and smashes the walkie-talkie like an idiot. The gang wanders around for a long time, going in circles, trying to find an exit. I love this dungeon because you literally just go through a door, walk around for a while until you find another door, and then you keep going through the same space 5 or 6 times.
Yeah, I like it now that I know what it was. When I was doing it, I did not like it because Maya being Maya, when you go through the second door, so you get back to the front. She says, "Oh, we made it back here. See, I marked the wall. So now you just have, when we go back, go to the places we haven't been." So I stepped through the door, and the mini map shows the places where I've walked. So I just try to take other routes the entire time and find places I haven't gone. I ended up finding some secrets. There's a healing place you can find in there, and there's a lot of stuff, but there was no way forward because you just have to go through the circle 5 times. But I wasn't going through that second door that I knew would take me back to the beginning because I was trying to do what Maya told me to do and look for other routes. And again, I wasted a lot of time.
I think that's more fair. That's more fair because that is genuinely unclear instructions from the game.
What I did was I was like, I've entered this new room. There's new dialogue. I've entered this new room. There's new dialogue. I'll keep entering rooms until there's no new dialogue. And there was always new dialogue until I got out. But yeah, that's more fair this time. During the long trek around the bomb shelter, Aikichi mentions a rumor that someone got out with a mirror. In a later scene, he pulls out a mirror. Lisa is pissed that he didn't mention he had one before, and they fight over it. They end up breaking the mirror. The situation is a little heated, so Yukino suggests they take a break and take turns keeping watch. Near the end of Totino's shift, Maya walks up and sits next to him. She says she couldn't sleep. She introduces Totino's to her good luck charm, Mr. Bun Bun. He takes out his lighter, which is his good luck charm. She talks for a while, wondering if they'll ever get out and wondering if Joker is really a bad person. Eventually, the conversation peters out, and Maya tells Totino's to get some rest. He goes to sleep. Totinos dreams of his childhood. He and another boy are standing on a street corner. The other boy asks if they're the same. He then tries to give Totinos a treasure given to him by his dad, which we recognize as Totinos' signature lighter. Totinos refuses, but the boy says, "It's okay. I mean, you're practically me, and I'm you. It'll be like I still have it." And normally I would say normal, but this strikes me as the kind of weird fucked up thing a little kid would actually say.
You know what? Yeah. If a kid is below a certain age, like, you could literally have them say any sentence, and it's like, yeah, I could probably say that. They're not real people with conscious functioning brains. Like, no. They're like RNG device. Like, their thought patterns are just random neurons firing, basically. And they'll just you put, it receives input, processes it, subjects it to extreme amounts of just randomness, and then you get output. Like,
yeah. So many times Scarlett will be like, "Why is blah 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 happening?" And I'll be like, "Oh, okay. Here's a very easy using first grade English understandable explanation." And she's like, "Oh, because you thought that, like, it was Tuesday and my brother was here and you were confused and you had got it wrong, right?" I'm like, "Yes." I go about my day.
I think the flashback does some interesting things with, like, the reflection of the glass they're looking in. That feels like there's, some kind of symbolic thing going on there with that. But I do feel with Maya continuing to bring up the, like, yeah, I don't know. I think there's some good. Is Joker really evil? He seems so sad. This is like the second or third time she's done that. And it feels very show don't tell. Or rather, tell not showing, because it's just a character telling us that they feel like Joker feels sad.
So we're all in agreement this little boy is Joker, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Obviously. Okay.
He is the most...
I'm just kidding. I caught on to that.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, it's just I hate to use the a word like lazy writing, but just having a character say, "I don't know. I feel like they might not be bad. I think they might have good reasons for what they're doing." It's like,
to be
okay.
fair, she says those in NPC dialogue with her and not in any cutscenes, because I never found those. So
she does say it in 2 cutscenes.
In 2 cutscenes, yeah.
We've already established I'm stupid very much in this game.
I will say, to be fair, her the big tip-off for her that something was up with Joker was the fact that he sounded like he was crying during one of his monologues, and this game doesn't have full voice acting, so we don't know that.
That's true, but I feel like there's a way to write that in, like, written dialogue that gets across that sense instead of having to have a character tell us it afterward. I think that's a little messy, but okay.
Yeah. So Totinos accepts the lighter and in turn gives the boy his treasure, a watch given to him by his dad. The boy accepts. He says they'll keep their promise to each other no matter what. A drunk young man walks out of a nearby bar and says the kids shouldn't stay out so late or he'll have to arrest them. The boy says grown-ups drink to forget their dreams, and he never wants to be like that. When Totinos wakes up, the gang brainstorms what to do. Maya guides us to the realization that the exit must exist and can only be seen indirectly. That's why someone could escape with a mirror. They don't have a mirror anymore, but Yukino can take pictures with her digital camera to view things indirectly. They find the exit. They exit. The school festival happened while they were underground, but the masquerade is still underway. They head to the gym, which they find packed with students. Yasuo is draining their life force with a skull like what Joker had. The students are turning into shadow men. Yukino spots Anna on a catwalk, but she runs off somewhere. The gang approaches Yasuo, but he also runs off somewhere. At this point, I tried so hard to find a way onto the stage where Yasuo was. And then I talked to the students, and I think one of the students was like, Yasuo ran back into the school. And I was like, oh, okay.
I'm glad, since this game is not challenging any of us with its battles, it's challenging us with our reading comprehension.
Yeah. There's also, this is a round where you can do the bonus boss for this area, which is another ghost rumor, and in this case, it is the more well-known-ish rumor of like a ghost in the bathroom who will either like strangle you or stab you depending on what kind of toilet paper you ask for.
Mm-hmm. I've heard of that.
Me too.
The gang finds Yasuo on the roof. He gives a stupid monologue about how he's reshaping the school for the better and tries to get Aikichi to join him. It doesn't work. The gang demands he turns everyone back to normal. He says he has no idea how. Maya says, okay, just give us the skull and we'll figure it out. How hard could it be? Yasuo refuses, saying the lady would kill him if he did. He summons a persona and attacks. The gang beats him up and takes the skull. Normally I would ask, how is this boss for everyone? But this is Persona 2. I know how it was for y'all.
I literally, after one round, and I saw that all of my people with fire spells were strong against them, and the people who didn't have fire spells had healing spells. I just put it on auto, and I set my controller down, and I continued working at my day job.
Nice.
That works. I believe Mercury, he's also weak against almost every kind of physical attack, if not every kind of physical attack.
Mm-hmm.
He is a weak nerd.
Yeah.
The gang asks why Joker is harvesting people's ideals. Yasuo says he doesn't know. But there's a rule that anyone who joins the Masked Circle must present its executives with ideal energy derived from dreaming hearts. And I laugh at the phrase ideal energy for a while.
It's pretty good.
Aikichi and Lisa are shocked by the words Masked Circle. Aikichi says it's from a children's game that shows up in his dreams. They interrogate Yasuo some more, but then Lady Scorpio appears. Yukino recognizes her as Anna. She teleports around and takes the skull from Totino's. She says, "This skull can only be controlled by those bearing the constellation of the Holy Cross." She also is like, "Is this it?" Another voice says, "Of course! A typical person's energy level is paltry at best. That's why the Exalted One is granting people their ideals." Yasuo fucking bursts into flames and dies.
It was so out of nowhere.
Another masked figure appears. He says, "I am called King Leo. I am highest of the 4 executives of the Masked Circle, bearing the sign of Leo." The UI says he seems to harbor a deep grudge towards Maya and is an insane man who hears voices.
I sure do love having villains who have certain mental health characteristics, which stigmatizes those symptoms in a way that actually hurts real people with them. It's just great.
Mm-hmm. He tells Lady Scorpio she fucked up and says, "If you wish to be present to witness the fulfillment of the Oracle of Maya, I suggest you accept the Exalted One's punishment." I want to note this is Maya with an I instead of a Y. Our Maya is with a Y. However, her persona is also called Maya, but with an I instead of a Y. So, the Oracle of Maya is the same name as Maya's Maya.
Yes.
Does that all make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. King Leo and Lady Scorpio threaten the gang and disappear. Maya has a panic attack and calls to her father to help her. After some time passes, she reveals that King Leo had been stalking her for years. Yukino is worried about the people back at the gym. They head back and find each and every one of them has become a Shadow Man, presumably Anna's doing. Having failed to save the students here and not knowing what to do next, the gang teeters on the edge of despair. But Maya says wherever rumors are, Joker's there too, so they just need to go around asking for rumors about the Masked Circle and Joker. As they leave the school, Maya says to herself there must be some reason why Anna joined the Masked Circle. Miss Sayako saved her once, and now it's her turn to save Anna. To be clear, Anna is not a character from the first game. It sort of sounds like she is because of how Yukino has latched onto her, but no.
Yeah, I figured she was.
Yeah, so let's listen to some more Persona 2 music, and then we will talk about our memorable moments. Who wants to go first?
If I could, mine's pretty simple. At the cultural festival for Cuss High, going around talking to people, one of them is they're doing a maid cafe, and one of the students you talk to outside, because it's not a room you can go into, one of the students you talked into is apparently quote unquote a boy in the class who is upset at having to cross-dress because there weren't enough people who wanted to actually dress like a maid for this. But then if you come back after the basement dungeon, the character is like, I'm actually really starting to like wearing this the longer I wear it. And I'm just like...
That's how they get you. Hell yeah.
That's exactly. Just like, look, it's an egg breaking.
Look, some people just don't knock until you tried it.
Yeah, that's my thing.
So I went back to the detective agency to spread some rumors or something, and I talked to Aikichi, and he was like, we could spread a rumor that Joker is really weak, and then we can beat Joker. But then I talked to Maya, and she was like, and she gave a really good explanation for why that didn't work. She was like, I don't think that would work because, the idea that something that people are really excited about is just weak or going away won't catch on as a rumor. But she explains it better than that. And I thought that was cool.
Like stop trying to make it happen.
Yeah, like explaining away a thing you might have thought of as a possible option that the characters didn't think of. No, the characters did think of it, but it won't work.
That's very cool. So, this week, I only have one, but I did find my screenshots folder where I had some from last week I didn't bring up, so I'll also bring those up. But on the world map, there's like little people you can talk to, little NPCs. They're just like spinning location markers, but one of them is an office worker who says, my colleagues have been pretty distant lately. They keep leaving before me because they have some meeting to attend. Are they in a union?
Let's fucking go.
If only. But, I also went and did the scene at Lisa's house. Bernard, you didn't tell me that her dad was Steven Seagal, which makes the wants to be Japanese joke so much better. It's fantastic.
I'm sorry.
In the teacher's lounge of Seven's high school, you can talk to a teacher who's talking to a student, and the student is like, I'm sorry, I cheated on my math test. I have been cheating on my math test this entire year. And he goes, oh, really? Well, I'm an English teacher, so I don't get what's impressive about it. It's like, oh, you're cheating in math? Who gives a shit? I teach English.
Oh, yeah, I got that one. That one's great.
And then in the janitor's room, when you're looking for the key last week, all over the wall are posters, and it's a poster of the legendary actress Sayuri Yoshikawa from 30 years ago, and the area around her lips is oddly worn. And if you talk to Maya while she's looking for the key, she opens the dresser and goes, this dresser is just full to bursting with cutouts and glossies of that actress Sayuri Yoshikawa, which I think is hilarious.
I have a memorable moment to build on that. I don't think I mentioned this last time.
Go for it.
Yeah, I remember that from last time too. Go ahead.
If you go in this room before you are looking for the key, you of course can see all these weird things. If you open the dresser, it says something like, beneath the cutouts and pictures of this actress, there is more pictures and cutouts of this actress.
Yeah.
That's a very Ace Attorney description.
I've got a couple. I've got a bunch, but I'll just share a couple. I'll just like, NPC lines. I will say I continue to really like how they handle NPCs in this game. How like because this game's structured like this game really is like more of a dungeon crawler. Actually, like you never feel like you have like a home base in this game, right? Like a safe place that you exist in, and then you venture out of it. It's like no, like every area you've been so far like is a dungeon. It's pretty much just a series of dungeons and cutscenes where you like go to shops in between, right? Which is an interesting flow to it. But what's cool is that because of that, you never really feel like you're exploring like a town. Like an RPG, like you get to a town, you just go around and talk to everyone. Like in Persona 4, it's like, hey, you just go to like the main area of the town and you just go around and talk to whoever's there. In this game, you're only ever talking to people, except for the occasional ones that exist on the world map, which that's only a couple, right?
Yeah.
You're only ever talking to people in the context of like you're in a context of like a situation, almost always. So because of that, as I briefly mentioned last time, not all, but a lot of the it's like Sam, one of your favorite tropes in games, and mine too, is the like, oh, we're on a transportation device of some kind, and we're just going to get to run around and talk to everyone while we're going on the boat or on the plane or whatever. This game does that like in every room of the dungeon.
I love that.
So it's never just every time you go into like a room in a classroom, it's never just these guys are just hanging out and you're talking to them and they're saying, I love chopping wood, or I hope I passed the test, or it's always like almost like a scene. Because very often you'll talk to one, NPC, and they'll say something like, oh, I've got such a crush on so-and-so. And then you talk to another NPC and they're like, I can't believe that guy has a crush on so-and-so. He's out of his mind. And it's like, oh, everyone's talking about the same thing, like to each other. So it's even the NPCs. And also, of course, your party all spreads out, right, in these scenes. And I realized, the first week we played, I thought, oh, that's a cute little quirk we're seeing here, but now I'm realizing, this is like the fundamental structure of the game. It's just a lengthy, like the structure of the whole game is, here's what you do. You go through mazes, I'm using the word generously, go through mazes and fight monsters, go through various menus and, go through town and go to weapon shops and develop a room and stuff, have actual cutscenes, and then this, where you're in a room and all the NPCs, including your party, are there, and you go and just interact with a little scene if you feel like it. And if you don't, you just move on, right? It's really neat and textured. It's a cool way to handle this whole concept.
And I can definitely see in a world before Persona 3 how Persona 3 comes from this. Like you have your Final Fantasies where once the person joins your party, they're dead to you because the game is about Zidane and Dagger. It is not about Amaranth or whatever the fuck his name is. So once he joins your party, he has no more plot. Like that was par for the course around this time. But here it's like, no, you can talk to your people constantly, and talking to Yukino a lot because she's hot and I want to know what she has to say. I leveled up our joint demon negotiation. So it's like, absolutely the social
yeah,
link.
I was gonna mention that. It's cool how when you talk to them, I couldn't tell. I feel like it happens not when you talk to them a certain amount, but when you get certain conversations. Did you feel that way, or because when I got because for me I got one with not Maya, the other one.
Yuki? Yukino.
Yeah, I got one with Yuki after a particular conversation where she really revealed some stuff about herself. So, like, to me, I didn't think, I got this because I talked to her enough and leveled up my social link. I just thought, if you talk to her in this situation, you learn more about her. But it could, maybe it's behind the scenes, right? I don't actually know. I thought
Yeah, I was saying more in broad strokes, like the idea that talking to your
gotcha.
party gets you stuff here becomes what Persona is starting in the next game.
Yeah, so it's really neat. Like it kind of feels like like party chat in Dragon Quest. It kind of feels like talking to NPCs. It kind of feels like a lot of things, but it is. Oh, it kind of feels like in FF9 where you get those side away scenes,
or like a tail skit type thing. Yeah,
but it's its own thing. It's anyway. It's real cool. I wanted to just mention that in general, but also at one of them, Yukino has a very loaded line where you're talking about weapons, and she's like, "Yeah, I use a sword," and then she goes, "Bet you're pretty handy with your fists too, huh?" And in the context, I was like, "Sus." It sounded like she was being it was a lot.
My mind didn't go there.
No, I thought we were about to throw down and,
no.
fight each other.
Anyway, another one. Male student. I'll never forget it. A normal meeting. Nothing out of the ordinary. And then there was someone with a blue skull. And I'm like, bro, that is every day of my life. It's like, oh man, this meeting is so good and normal. And then something fucking happens. And it's not normal anymore. Let's see, what else? Where is the one I was really, really looking for? Here we go. There's one where you talk with Ginkgo, and she goes, "Hey," which I guess is some onomatopoeia. She goes, "Hey,"
Cantonese, presumably, because she speaks Cantonese words where they don't belong.
Oh, maybe it's like okay. I wasn't sure if it was, but anyway, the joke works whether it's not onomatopoeia or an actual phrase because of what I'm about to say. So she goes, "Hey." I can't believe those Cuss High students did that. I bet Uniboss is behind it. And then you talk with the other guy, Undiboss, and he goes, "I'm the one who should be saying "K" around here." And I found that to be very cute. Also, a Cuss High student says that Sugimoto actually sucks. He's like, "Yeah, I don't know why this guy's our leader. He's fucking lame."
According to this random person on GameFAQs, Kehei is Cantonese for how annoying.
Ah, yeah. I was 50-50 because like the joke works either way. So I was like, yeah, I'm 50-50 on this just being she made a funny sound or she said some Cantonese thing. Also, Maya gives a little speech during the rooftop scene about how, well, first of all, you learn in the rooftop scene, I don't remember if Bernard addressed this or not, because I think it's only in optional dialogue, which we don't go over in the main portion. But you learn that one reason why Cuss High is so upset all the time and angry at Sevens is not because they're all just big old jerks, but because they're actually jealous because they think Sevens is a way cooler school than them. And that they have an inferiority complex. But and apologies, that was already discussed. But Maya says that actually it's their inferiority that it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, basically. So because they are an inferior school, they're like, no, we're actually proud of our school. We're fucking awesome. Fuck you. And then because of that, they don't like work hard to improve the school. And she's like, yeah, as long as she's basically saying, as long as you're proud of your shitty school, it'll always be shitty. But she says it in a nicer way than that. And I thought that was a cool little bit of world and character building. And then finally, in one of the scenes where everyone has a little talk about ideals, everyone talks about their different kind of ideals. And Yukino's perspective on ideals is that having your ideal just be like, I'm going to go get this thing that I want. She's like, that's not an ideal, numbnuts. To her, an ideal is categorically something that you can never achieve. So an ideal has to be something that you chase after your whole life. And you might have goals and wants along the way, but your ideal is the thing that is in fact unachievable, because if you were to achieve your ideal, then what do you fucking have after that, right? So yeah, you get a lot of cool little things about all the different characters. That's it, the end for me.
Yeah, I wanted to sneak in. I realized I was looking at my notes. I did have one other thing. I adore how much of a pathetic weenie Yasuo is as a villain. Specifically, and how smug he is at the same time. With my specific example being when you get up to the roof, at first he tries to trick you out with a walkie-talkie again, and then you just look and he's like 20 feet away, and then he acts like you're all geniuses for figuring it out. And it's like, dude, you weren't even hiding.
It's so good.
He's
I love the comedic timing of the sprites too. Like he's huddled over, like speaking to the thing, and your character should just walk in from the bottom of the screen and just stand around him and let him finish monologuing.
I adore good sprite blocking, and the way they have, if I recall correctly, Totinos walks up, then after a pause, Aikichi and Lisa walk up, then after a pause, Yukino and Maya walk up. It's great. I love that kind of thing. Like ever since, like in Final Fantasy IV, someone will like be walking away from a scene and let's pause for a half a second, then keep going. I love that shit.
Mm-hmm.
It's good.
Yeah, this game, it doesn't have like an outrageous number of like bespoke animations and stuff. It doesn't have that level of like, I mean, I don't know what the game's budget was, but it doesn't seem to have that level of production value. And because they can't express every character's emotion with an elaborate bespoke animation, they have to instead rely on using the same animations over and over, but in different ways and blocking. And that's great. That's a great way to do things. And they're doing a fucking great job of it.
Also, whoever voices Yasuo in the boss fight, in the brief bit of spoken dialogue we get, 10 out of 10. That was so funny.
All of the voice acting, like you get voice acting very rarely. It's just like in a boss battle, there will be like 2 lines, or when you're doing a negotiation, sometimes like you'll pick discuss manliness, and Totinos will be like, to be a man is ... But all that voice acting is fantastic. And apparently in Persona 2 Eternal Punishment for the PlayStation 1, it's terrible.
I'm
Nice.
excited for it to be terrible.
Yeah, it's like broke. It's like normal sized brain, good voice acting. Galaxy sized brain, bad voice acting.
But so speaking of Cuss High, the way that they were talking about Cuss High this week, I was like, oh, for Kasuga Yama High, it's probably Kuso, which is technically shit, but in Japanese, it's more it's more like the way in English we just say fucking for everything. Like it's your generic swear. And so I was like, that's why they did it as a Cuss High. That makes more sense. But looking it up, they actually called it Kasu High, but they used a different kanji to be Dregs High, as in like the shitty part of the city goes to Cuss High, which I thought was interesting. Also, I'm glad none of us decided to play the fan translation, because the fan translation translates Cuss High as Cass or Ka-ass, you gay Ama High.
Okay. Speaking of translation stuff, I did find out, Hanakoji has the nickname Koji in this version.
Mm-hmm.
In the original Japanese, her nickname is Hanaji, which it means nosebleed. Apparently because she got a nosebleed in the girls' locker room. And at least I'm glad that it's something like that, because when I heard cozy, I think this might be unintentional, but I couldn't help just thinking it was another fat joke.
Yeah.
I can see that. I think it's probably on accident, but if someone's
there are so many
like,
intentional
like,
ones.
You're so cozy, but that's the reason I would feel like that's not intentional is because that's like a positive term.
You're right. That's a positive thing. It's just
like if I was to describe a large, soft, cuddly person as cozy, that would be like a very nice thing to say. So it's probably not on purpose.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Apparently, she's called Cozy because she sleeps through all of her classes.
Oh, cool.
She is Cozy. But if in the Japanese, she gets a nosebleed in the girls' locker room. Lesbian in game, guys.
Or bi.
Or bi.
Brief aside, this popped up on my phone and I had to investigate it despite the fact that we're podcasting. This is just so funny. Like, you do like the bare minimum of like a little bit of like labor and like activist organizing and become like slightly okay at doing things. And all of a sudden you're getting followed by people who are, quote, legislative advocate with the broad and governmental advocacy. Representing Unite Here, SAG-AFTRA, and ATU. Okay, cool. I guess this guy follows me on Twitter now. Oh, it's just very funny. It's like, sure, man. I don't know why you're following me, but I guess this happens like all the time now. It's funny.
Well, if you, listener, would like to follow us, you can do so at www.rpgbook.club, where you can find links to all of our socials and toss us a few ducats if you'd like. We currently, or recently is the word I was looking for, we recently have added membership tiers. So if you want to subscribe per month, you get a couple extra perks. The base tier and all tiers higher than it get access to our Book Club no Kiseki episodes a month before everyone else. They get green text inside of the Discord, and they can vote on what games we play next. And then at the $5 a month tier, we will read your name at the end of every episode. So shout outs to Cerebral Wind, Anthony Lerma, Vimk, Jfro Prime, Eli Bergmas, Doho, and Tuxedo Ken. And then if you donate at the $20 a month tier, we will shout out whatever you want us to shout out. And our Luminary car does not have any URL or anything he wants us to shout out, but he is a dentist, so he wants to remind you to brush your teeth twice a day, most importantly, before you go to bed at night. So if you want us to say a sentence or two of that of your choosing, you can do so over at our website at www.rpgbook.club. But next week we will play probably 2 more dungeons. There probably will be a boss fight at the end of it. It'll probably make sense for us to do it this way. It was a decent chunk, but we'll see, because none of us have played, and this game is surprisingly undocumented online.
Yeah, so this has been good so far, so I hopefully we can just keep it rolling.
Yeah.
Next time, can we play a game that has really, really good FAQs? Because we played this, we played Suikoden 2.
Yeah, that is one slight issue with us trying to play stuff that isn't the most famous games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. When we did Final Fantasy X, like, there were 3 other book club podcasts that had already covered it. That could be like, oh, they did it in 7 episodes, so we can probably do it in about 7 episodes. But none of that around here. But, yeah, for RPG Book Club, I have been Sam Allman.
I'm David Bernard Hauk.
I'm Maddie Grace Webben.
And I'm Trish.
Toodaloo, folks.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.